G'day everyone, welcome to How to Attract More Volunteers. Thanks for joining us. This is a fundamental topic. The more helpers you can get for your club, the stronger your club will be and the easier it will be to run. But before we get into all the tips and hints, I would first like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, wherever we are across Australia, and I'd also like to pay my respects to elders past and present. I'm Mark Campbell, one of the co-founders of CLUBMAP, and sitting alongside me, virtually at least, is CLUBMAP's COO, John Knudsen, who, along with keeping CLUBMAP's wheels turning, is also a lifelong club person with experience in community sport with the Heathmont Jets and at the highest level with Hawthorn in the AFL. Also, before we get underway, I'd like to acknowledge two of our fantastic partners, the Australian Sports Foundation and Active Queenslanders Industry Alliance. And of course, draw your attention to our Telstra Best of Business Award for building communities, of which we're very proud. Hard to believe for us anyway, but at CLUBMAP, we're heading into our 10th year now. And over that time, we've been able to form a unique view of the sporting landscape at all levels, but especially when it comes to the community club environment right across the country. We spent a lot of time refining and distilling what are really elite practices, so they're suitable for use by community groups and sports, and especially grassroots organisations. And they now number across 70 plus sports and activities, over 100 governing bodies and councils, over 3,500 clubs and way more than 20,000 volunteer administrators.
There is a real theme to tonight. We'll go through the unattractive truth to volunteering and some recent learnings that we've had, how to make volunteering attractive, and then how to apply that to your club and our strategies within making it an attractive proposition. And then, as we do every week, we'll finish with how we can help, how to fund some workshops and grants and some open grants that are available, and finish with some Q&A and a chat at the end. Hi everyone, thanks for checking out the webinar recording. Before we dive into it, just while you're watching, if you think that your club could use some help with your sponsorships, other revenue streams, more volunteers, planning, even a bespoke committee structure like what we discussed in webinar 1 a couple of weeks ago, we'd love to help. Our workshops can have a huge impact on your club and the broader community. We know it's tough for clubs with funds at the moment, and we want to make it as easy as possible for clubs to work with us. We'll help you find and apply for a grant to fund our workshops at no cost to your club. There are a number of local and state grants open now, in late February, early March 2025. All the links are in the description. Get in touch with the grants team or shoot us a good old email, info@clubmap.com.au. Thanks again. Back to the webinar. We've called part 1 the unattractive truth. It's no secret that many clubs are struggling around the country for volunteers. There are many factors at play. We're not going to go into all of them tonight. People being time poor more than ever, cost of living, meaning people have to work more, things like that. Demographic shifts, population movement, particularly in regional areas, the list goes on. We wanted to share some of our recent learnings as well, but then highlight how and why it is so important to create that inviting, attractive environment for people to volunteer. The common situation we hear when talking to club committees or in workshops is we've shown stats before, 3 to 4 people do most of the work, which lines up a little bit with the poll that we just had before at most clubs around the country. A few jobs around the club is just too many. Not only does it create burnout for the great people putting up their hand, it also affects the perception of volunteering to those in the broader club community. We often share some stats from various sources to highlight the pressures on volunteers in webinars, but we were compiling some health check data stats recently, and we wanted to share what we've been able to learn from clubs through our own health checks, so for those who may not have seen this before, our health check survey process produces a report which has a summary page, and this first page is a snapshot of about 200 clubs from one sport, which covers all of the off-pitch, off-court, off-field stuff, and the chart indicates scores from those topics. So 0 to 49 is red, the traffic light system, 50 to 69 is amber, and 70 plus is green, which is fairly rare. If you haven't completed one of these or haven't heard us talk about the health checks before, stick around. You can tick a box. It's free for anyone that attends a webinar. They are included with our workshops and that sort of thing, and club development program. But yeah, you'll have the opportunity to complete one of these. It's a really worthwhile exercise to go through. Like I said, one sport, 200 clubs, which is a decent sample size, 23%. 46 clubs thereabouts reported a loss in the last financial year, meaning obviously they couldn't cover their expenses for the year. This can be a massive issue. Hopefully many of those clubs have a rainy day fund, which often isn't the case. More than half don't have a strategic or a business plan for their club, no roadmap, no plan for the future. It's a bit of a red flag as well. So we're able to dive into data like that, but some of the noteworthy, I guess, average results from individual questions pertinent to this topic, obviously. All the questions are rated out of 10. So someone coordinating volunteers, aligning to the question that we asked before, the average score is 2.81 out of 10. To me, that's pretty much a no. Someone wearing a bunch of other hats might be doing it at some clubs. And then the club's overall volunteer program, recruiting, retention, training, acknowledgement, rewarding, that sort of thing, 4.9 out of 10, which is okay, not bad, shy of half. A better result, but still indicates that volunteers being the lifeblood of their clubs, the people that keep it above water, get some focus, but probably not enough. And then page 2 is just a random selection of 60 clubs from a range of sports. I think there's about 18 to 20 sports represented in total. Average debt of $3,000 across all those 60 sports, which is obviously significant. That could be to the association, the league, the council, individuals chipping in with a loan, that sort of stuff. And then more than half don't have a budget. Another red flag. Doesn't matter the size of the organisation. And then obviously some volunteer questions. Just 1.82 out of 10 for someone coordinating volunteers. 2.82 out of 10 for training or education in their role when coming into the committee, so the handover or training period. And 3 out of 10 for sourcing funding for volunteers. And this one's obviously a little bit more concerning for those clubs. It's a little bit more red, but we just see the red as low-hanging fruit opportunities, particularly when we're working with clubs. And if you're involved with a club that we've worked with before, you would have seen your club's version of this and hopefully working through some of those low-hanging fruit opportunities. But we just thought it was really good to take a sample size, and we're going to work on a lot more of this information and data to share with incoming webinar topics as well, because it's really important to highlight what we can from a lot of data that we've got. And I think there's upwards of 2,000 clubs that have completed a health check survey in the last 2 years thereabouts, I think, so which is a decent chunk of data. Unfortunately, there are many barriers to volunteering. We've found that the most prominent overall being it's just an unattractive proposition. What we mean by that, potential volunteers are wary because they're not prepared, no handover or training in place, and they might feel that they've just been thrown or will be just thrown in the deep end and good luck to your hardest. It's hard to put yourself in other shoes at times, particularly when you're desperate in any situation, let alone asking for help. But we think it's important to remember that some of the people you're talking to may not have grown up around your club or around community sport, volunteering at all, have no idea what it takes to run a club, or sometimes that there is even a committee, it's a not-for-profit, and people aren't getting paid to do this, that sort of thing. So there really needs to be a shift in some of that perception and approach, particularly people new to a club. Maybe it's their first club they've been involved with, young kids, that sort of thing. Without the time dedicated to getting the right structure to for your organisation, it just means everything else is really hard. It might be new programs for participation in your sport, revenue streams, fundraising activities, planning, marketing, all that sort of stuff. It all falls onto the same few people. Other things just don't get done. It sort of snowballs from there. You are just set up to fail, basically. Volunteering, we wanted to define it first, but I guess expand the definition as well. Unpaid work that benefits others. However, what's often left out is the fact that there are benefits to the volunteer as well. So always keep that in mind, both tonight and in the coming weeks. Hopefully amongst your club, you might be able to get together and discuss some of the things that we're going through. Just lean into the benefits of those that are doing the volunteering. It does fill your cup. It should make you feel good helping out. Hopefully everyone on here tonight feels the same way, particularly if it's a club that means a lot to you and you've been around there for a long time, or that your children play at, or whatever that might be. But it can also offer great personal and professional growth, gets underrated a little bit, and offer a strong sense of community and building lifelong relationships through volunteering. All these things, the benefits to the individual can get left behind in the desperation in asking for help sometimes, and it can really, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but it can really be the difference between creating that working relationship and getting a fairly stern no.
It probably comes as no surprise that there is no silver bullet when it comes to volunteering, but there's a group of things that can work together to actually bring it all to life. When you've got a structure in place and people committed to looking after their particular area of responsibility, it's like magic. Clubs are suddenly much, much easier to run. And as the next slide says, John, sorry, mate, I should have given you the warning. It all starts with asking for help. But there's more to that than simply yelling, help. You want to take a bit of a process around this. You want to think about the two-way nature of volunteering. Those wonderful upsides that John spoke about that volunteers enjoy, and frame your ask as an opportunity for the person you're asking. What's in it for them?
So here we just wanted to bounce off Mark's section there and quickly share a few tips to get going with a new look volunteer approach to make it a bit more attractive and share some of our strategies. You want to make, at the end of the day, you want to make the asking conversation as easy as possible. Knowing which roles in the structure need filling, clearly outline the role and the commitment with a position description, and most importantly, share the club story and how volunteering at your club is a two-way street, so that it's not just the club that benefits from you volunteering. There is a benefit to the volunteer, and again, that there's real skill in asking. And I know we had quite a few questions around the volunteer coordinator or volunteer manager in the registrations as well. So we'll bounce to that in a little bit, but. You want to try and match skills with the roles, and by having an org chart, a club structure like we showed before, with a lot more boxes, you're allowing for growth, and people can see where they can fit in. We always use the example of social media. It doesn't necessarily have to be a committee position, generally suited to a younger generation with skills in content creation, design, video editing, running social media accounts, that sort of thing. Perfect to someone who can help out. Doesn't necessarily have to go on the committee. They can form a small team with a couple of friends or teammates or whatever it might be, to look after social media at your club. And that takes a load off someone else. And that's one job that you found that someone else doesn't have to do. And it can really snowball when you start trying to identify skills within your broader community, having those conversations, building relationships to help fill those positions. Thanks for watching our webinar recording. The full cut is in the resources hub right now, along with a heap of other educational videos, tips, info pages, examples, templates on how to set up and run a successful sponsorship program at your club. There's also videos, info and templates on a range of other topics, from volunteers to committee structure, finances, governance, and some new online fundraisers and revenue streams that you can implement. It's available for everyone at your club, or just $49 for 12 months for one account. Check out hub.clubmap.com.au for more information or to buy online. And as always, we'd love to have a chat about your club and how we can help out. Use the QR code, or all the links are in the description as well. Tuning in live if you can is always better. Means you can hang around for some Q&A and have a chat about the topic with us at the end. clubmap.com.au to save your spot. We'll see you then.